American President Donald Trump has managed to astonish and astound people all around the world. Whether as a businessman, television personality, or politician, his country has been divided, and its citizens either love him or hate him. Media outlets have had an especially difficult time covering Trump, as his repeated claims of bias have only encouraged them to dig deeper to find dirt to report, whether it exists or not. We take a look at 8 secrets the media wants you to hear, but Trump doesn't want you to know. Underpaying workers. Donald Trump is well known as a real estate developer. Many structures have been built through his investments, several of which bear his name. Trump Tower itself, while it did create hundreds, if not thousands, of construction jobs, was allegedly built in part through the work of as many as 200 illegal Polish immigrants, who were hired by a private construction company and paid between $4 and $5 an hour. These undocumented hired hands worked as many as 12 hours a day, and since they were undocumented, existing labor laws were not necessarily enforced. When confronted with the allegations, Trump denied any knowledge of using illegal or undocumented workers. And when they came around asking for money, he suggested that deportation would be a more appropriate response. Thoughts on gay marriage. Most people are taught from a very young age that if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. This is some advice that Donald Trump often blatantly chooses to ignore. His commentary on political opponents, celebrities, and just people who oppose his views in general has been well documented, publicized, and even exploited. Some say his quote about golf was an indirect reference to his stance on gay marriage. His own words were, quote, "A lot of people are switching to these really long putters, very unattractive. It's weird. You see these great players with these really long putters because they can't sink 3-footers anymore, and I hate it," end quote. The comparison between golf and gay marriage may be a strange one. But then again, Trump is quite unusual himself. And it's neither the first, nor will it likely be the last time his words are triggering to those with opposing beliefs. The Apprentice. Even though Trump has often bragged about his wealth, assets, and net worth, he still earned a substantial salary to appear in his own show. And by substantial, we mean $375,000 per episode. That's right, in what actually amounted to a recurring advertising campaign for himself and his brand, Trump got paid instead of paying for the exposure and partnership opportunities. At 15 episodes per season for 14 seasons, Trump claims to have earned $214 million from the show, which doesn't include related product licensing revenue or the increased value of his own companies and assets as a result of the show. Billions in debt. Lots of people live their lives in debt and are just 1 or 2 missed paychecks away from financial disaster. But in 1991, Donald Trump took debt to a new level. Between the multiple banks that ended up having to come after Trump for the billions he was in debt, Bankers Trust gained control of the Grand Hyatt in Manhattan, Citigroup took several retail businesses and an airline, and American Express ended up with his yacht. America was in the middle of a recession in 1991, and his assets and property didn't add up to anywhere near what he owed. The banks definitely weren't happy, and it would be years before they could make any money off of the reclaimed property. Trump inheritance. President Donald Trump inherited millions from his father, Fred Trump, in the form of multiple trusts that were set up before Fred's death, loans from his father's estate, percentage share in businesses, and financial and business connections. Each $1 million trust set up in 1976 would be valued around $4 million today, adjusted for inflation. Some financial analysts claim that if he had invested this entire amount in an index fund back then, that his net worth would be higher today than it currently is. This is a clear indicator to some that he is not nearly as money savvy as he claims to be. In fact, while he claims his net worth to be near $10 billion, Bloomberg's analysts have suggested it is closer to $2.9 billion. This causes many to believe that he is not capable of making policy for an entire country's economy. Melania wasn't interested. In 1998, when Donald was 52 years old, he was at an event at Manhattan's trendy Kit Kat Club when he first met Melania, who was 28 at the time. She remembers that he asked for her phone number, even though he was attending the event with another woman. She turned him down, saying that she didn't, quote, just give away the number to anybody. Instead, Trump gave his number to Melania, and within a few months, they began dating. Melania was an immigrant. Although many view Trump's stance on immigration to be brash, 2 of his 3 wives were, in fact, immigrants themselves. Ivanka, Trump's first wife, was born in Czechoslovakia, and First Lady Melania is a native of Slovenia's Sava Valley, which was once part of communist Yugoslavia. Melania obtained a work visa in 1996 to pursue her modeling career in the U.S., and almost 10 years later, after marrying Trump, she became a U.S. citizen. Small hand size. Apparently, size does matter. At least the size of his fingers matters to Mr. Trump. It was many years ago that a Vanity Fair editor took a shot at Trump, calling him a, quote, short-fingered vulgarian. His oversensitivity to this comment caused him so much distress that he reportedly took photos of his hands, circled his fingers in gold Sharpie, and sent them to the editor in question. He has also been known to take tracings of his hands periodically to prove that his fingers are proportionate.